Hi, how's it going? My name's Holly, and I'm going to do a little review of this book, The Meaning of Life by the School of Life. I'm going to do a sit down, flip through, and I'm much more comfortable. I'm pretty shy having my face on camera, so kind of my plan for this channel to do like intros, possibly of just like a little bit of my face, and then just do kind of like sit downs. And yeah, so this video, I like literally just read it. A friend recommended, sorry, I have congestion right now. I'm getting over something. Starts with a C and ends with a D. I don't want to say it because then it's going to politicize this channel, but y'all get it. It's been rough. Okay, and so this is my first video. I previously had another channel that was like a homeschool channel, and just really long story, YouTube, and like they said I was like violating COPA. It's really long and boring of a story. And I just decided to delete that channel and then create a new one. So this video, thanks so much you guys if anybody's subscribing from my other channel. It is going to be a little bit different. I pretty much only made homeschool content on my other channel. And this channel is going to be like a lot more adult books and a little bit of homeschool sprinkled in. And then maybe like some lifestyle and hauls and things like that of like things I really like. I also have like anxiety issues, so I'm probably going to be showing like a lot of books about like anxiety. Also have like some health issues. Might be talking about that, random things. I'm a mom of one, and I live in Texas. Yeah, so thanks so much for watching, and I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in a minute. Hi guys. Okay, so hopefully the lighting and everything is okay. It's super hot right now in Texas, so sorry if you hear background noise. It's like fans and ACs going in my house. And so yeah, so this book is The Meaning of Life. It's by the School of Life. Okay, so I really had never heard of this book until a friend of mine recommended it to me. Apparently the School of Life, I want to say they have like a YouTube channel, and I think they for sure have an Instagram, and it's like, I'm going to read you a little bit of the back. So, to wonder too openly or intensely about the meaning of life can seem a peculiar, ill-fated, and faintly ridiculous pastime. It can also seem like a topic on which ordinary mortals cannot make much progress. In truth, it is for all of us to wonder about, define, and work towards a more meaningful existence. And, okay, so let me start with the table of contents. And I'm lifting it up because it's a very small book, so hopefully you guys can see. So basically it says sources of meaning: love, family, work, friendship, culture, politics, nature, and philosophy. And then it has like obstacles to meaning. I'm not going to list every single thing. I want this book to be like a surprise if you get it, so I'm not going to do a review where I talk about every single thing in the book, but I think the table of contents is interesting to see, in case you guys are interested in reading it. And I like how it comes this little bookmarker ribbon. Okay, so I bookmarked some things, as you can see, and I'm going to talk about a little bit. So I'm not going to talk about the personal things about my meaning, things that I find meaningful to life, because I know everybody has like personal things that would be different for everyone. You know, obviously like my family and my pets and things like pertaining to like love and family. But I want to talk about some of the cultural things that I think that other people might find interesting. So this book, I wouldn't necessarily call it a self-help book. I wasn't, like I said, too familiar with the School of Life other than a friend recommended this book to me. And it's a very short read. I want to say that also. It's a small book, and it's 134 pages with all the artwork credits. And I read it pretty much in like 2 days. I could have read it quicker, but I just wanted to take my time with it. And I don't know if you'd really call it self-help, but like it talks about what, you know, the title is, about the different sources of meaning. And this is the kind of book that reminds me of, you might read it as like a quick read, and it just kind of makes you reflect on your own life about what's meaningful to you. And I do like books like that. And so I did find this book enjoyable. And I do think they have other books. But when it comes to talking about their meaning of life, I'm going to read a couple little blurbs. It says, a meaningful life aims not so much at day-to-day contentment as fulfillment. We may be leading a meaningful life, yet often be in a bad mood, just as we may be having frequent superficial fun while living, for the most part meaninglessly. I know the word, it came out weird, so I apologize. Okay, I made a note on that because what I found interesting is that they say that you can still lead a meaningful life yet be in a bad mood. And like, I find myself wondering about things like that a lot. Like sometimes I feel like I should be happier doing this, or my neck hurts, when I draw. I love to draw, but like my neck hurts. And just because, like sometimes I try to hype myself up, like, to draw, even though I know my neck will hurt, but this kind of made me reflect on that. Like, yeah, my neck will hurt, but I do get meaning out of drawing. So it's like, that's kind of what I got out of that. And I think that's an interesting perspective. I've never seen it written that way about doing something that's meaningful, yet it doesn't mean you're going to be like overjoyed and happy or whatever happiness means, I like that. And then this says, meaningful activities aren't necessarily those that we do most often. They are those we value most highly and will, from the perspective of our deaths, miss most deeply. I thought that was a very interesting thing to think about. Like, it's kind of dark to think about, like, our time on earth and things like that. But like, it's like, it makes me reflect, like, what would I like regret not doing more of, and sometimes I don't know, but I like to think about it. For me, drawing would be one of those things. But so kind of skipping ahead because I don't want to give the whole book away. I thought it'd be, like I said, just interesting to show a little bit of it. It has like some artwork in here, and it talks a little bit about that. It's very, like, this book is, like I said, it just made me kind of reflect on things. It talks about like, industrial design with these chairs, and I like things like that. Here, well, in the culture section. So in the culture section, it talks about music. So music is like so important to me personally, as something that gives meaning to my life. And I made a little notation to talk about Spotify and Pandora. I have Spotify and Pandora accounts, and I'm always creating playlists and things like that. And I do playlists for like different moods. And it says music. Music is of central importance to most of us, but we are extremely picky, not just about what music we listen to, but also when we do so. Yeah. So it's true. I mean, it's like, everybody has different musical taste. I'm kind of stuck in the 90s. But yeah, so I like this whole section on music. And it talks about, like an amplifier with its signal. Music doesn't invent emotion. It takes what is there and makes it louder. After all, not everything we feel is worthy of encouragement. So what was interesting to that is how it talks about how music can amplify certain things, emotions. And for me personally, I actually use sad music as an emotional release. So there's a few songs that trigger me in a good way. And when I feel like I have this like intensity building up inside me, like anxiety, it feels really good for me personally to cry. And of course, like when you're crying, I think it like releases like chemicals. I don't want to say the wrong words. I don't know if it's like endorphins or what it is. Sorry if I'm wrong. But I read that there is a chemical component to when we cry. And so music brings that out for me. And so there's a few songs, like one's particularly that played at my grandfather's funeral that I chose for his funeral. Sometimes I'll listen to that song and it brings me right back to that day of losing him at his funeral. And someone might say, well, why would you want to do that? But for me, it helps bring out my emotions. So for me, it's actually healthy. And I've actually talked to several therapists about it. And they said as long as you like bounce back after the song and you cry, and then they don't see an issue in it. So yeah, music is very important for me to bring out emotions. And so it says exactly the same is true in our lives. We are constantly faced with situations or something significant is going on. At the back of our minds, that helpful emotion reaction is there, but it's subdued and drowned out by the ambient noise of existence. Music is the opposite of noise. It's the cure for noise. So I wrote down cure because I have like a lot of sensory issues. I have a sensory processing disorder, and I also have like a lot of allergies and other things. And so my ears don't like silence. So I always have Spotify or Pandora or YouTube music on. And sometimes when I'm like reading, but I still want to hear music to like drown out the silence, I listen to like classical music. Like I love Philip Glass. Yeah. And so this section on culture, the other thing I want to talk about is books. It says around 130 million books have been published in the history of humanity. A heavy reader will at best get through 6,000 in a lifetime. Most of them won't be much fun or memorable. Books are like people. We meet many but fall in love very seldom. Perhaps only 30 books, 30, will ever truly mark us. So I thought that was really interesting from this book. I never thought about that, about how it says that possibly we could read up to 6,000, but only 30 will truly impact us. And because sometimes when I'm making lists like in my head of like my top 10 favorite books, I stress myself out sometimes because sometimes I have a really hard time even naming 10. And then I'm hard on myself and I'm like, gosh, you've read hundreds of books. Why can't you name more than 10? And it's because, it's true for me. It's really, I do have a top 10 list I'm going to share with you guys, but it's really hard, to narrow all the books you've read down to like a list of what books that you really think about have impacted you on so many levels. And it also gives me hope because that means that I have a lot more time. I'm 40, but I have more time to read more books that I think can make those types of lists. And I do read a lot of books that I don't enjoy, and then I just don't read them again. But, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. And the last thing is it kind of talks about, in the same section about culture, talks about clothes. It says, once we were all dressed by someone else, parents picked out a pair of trousers. The school dictated what color our shirts should be. But at some point, we were granted the opportunity to discover who we might be in the world of clothes. And so this book just makes like points about like things that we all, have to do in life. Have to get dressed, or, music is obviously an option. But I don't know. I thought that whole section was interesting. That's kind of what I wanted to focus on. And I wanted to talk about for clothes. For me personally, I sort of wear a uniform. I just pretty much wear a black t-shirt and black jeans 99% of the time. And that's just something that I've found over the years has worked for me. I love black. And so, yeah. But I really thought it was interesting how he talks about how your parents like dress you as a child, and then as an adult, obviously you dress yourself. And it's just like a simplistic way to think about how, decisions were made for you, but now like you're an adult, you're making all your own decisions. And something even, I don't say meaningless because it is meaningful, but clothes, like we have to wear clothes. So like, what do you pick? Why do you pick the clothes that you pick? Like for me, I pick my uniform because it simplified my life. Obviously I didn't invent the uniform. Like I think there's famous people who are known for having like a uniform. But yeah, I just found that I gravitated towards black t-shirts and black jeans. And I bought like black laundry detergent even, and it makes like the blacks blacker. And so it's just my thing now, I stain clothes a lot, so black is good for stains. And I think it just looks cool for me. So yeah, so that's kind of my little review on this book. And like I said, if you were expecting more of a substantial review, I apologize, but I don't like to do that ever because I like people to get their own vibe of a book. I just wanted to give you like a little snippet of what's inside. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And now I'm going to go on to talk about a few lists that inspired me, that the book inspired me to share. So I'm going to try to go through these pretty quickly. So I won't sit here and ramble too much. But so from being inspired by the culture section of that book, I'm going to share a few of my top 10 lists. So here's my top 10 movies. Now, I had trouble picking number 10, but I'm just going to choose one for the sake of time. As you can see, I kind of wrote like a bunch of different ones for number 10. But anyway, movies. And these aren't in order. These are just my favorite movies today. So I'm filming this July 2022. So right now, movies, top 10. As Good as It Gets. With Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt. Love it. He has OCD. I have OCD. And we have different types of OCD, but that's not why I like it. It's a very interesting movie just about humanity, about goodness in people and overcoming obstacles. Number 2, American Honey. American Honey is a newer one for me. It's filmed with a lot of energy. The soundtrack is super cool. And it's kind of shot almost like a documentary style. Though it's a woman who wrote and directed it. I apologize, I don't know her name, but I highly recommend American Honey. The third one is a classic, Amelie, French film, beautifully shot. I think it'll always be on my top 10 list. I just love Amelie. Number 4, Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. David Lynch is one of my favorite writer-directors. And Mulholland Drive, it was hard for me to choose one of his films, but I just chose Mulholland Drive because it's very interesting. Number 5, Vanilla Sky by Cameron Crowe. I love Cameron Crowe. Again, he's one of my favorite writer-directors. And Vanilla Sky is one of those movies, it's dark, but it's one of those movies that you want to see. Like, you just have to see it. Like, you know, it's not a movie I can rewatch a lot because of the content. It's beautifully shot. The soundtrack is also awesome. Napoleon Dynamite, number 6. Quirky, very, very, very rewatchable. I watch Napoleon Dynamite all the time. I love the 80s and 90s, and yeah, it's perfect for me. And if you like the 80s and 90s and quirky movies, number 7, 1, 2, 3. Wow, I'm already at 7, okay. The Royal Tenenbaums by Wes Anderson. All of his films are great. The Royal Tenenbaums is my favorite. Boyhood by Richard Linklater. Linklater, sorry if I'm saying this wrong. Linklater. Boyhood, oh my gosh. This movie is just a phenomenal film. It was filmed over many years with the same actors about a boy. It's like a coming of age story, beautifully shot. It's just it's almost like the definition of a true coming of age story. And the fact that he filmed it over so many years to get his childhood all the way to young adulthood when he goes to college. Awesome. Number 9, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It was written by Charlie Kaufman, but it was directed by someone different. I apologize, I forgot the name of the person, but it's a classic. So good. I love all of Charlie Kaufman's work. And then number 10, I wrote a bunch, but I'm not going to say them all because I can be indecisive when it comes to movies. And I'm just going to go with Gardenstate. I love Gardenstate. Zach Braff is the writer-director, and it's awesome. Okay, so now TV. Top 10. Twin Peaks. Classic TV series by David Lynch. Love it. Number 2, True Detective Season 1. Now, I want to say they have 3 seasons, but I did not connect with the other seasons like I did with season 1. Love it. The acting's phenomenal. The writing's phenomenal. Number 3, 6 Feet Under. Another series, very dark, I'm just going to be honest here, it's pretty depressing, but it's one of those series that you just want to watch at least once, I think, if you can deal with the content. I actually watched it years ago, and I probably couldn't make it through again because I'm at a different stage in my life. It is very, just look into it. Like it's very good film. I'm sorry, TV series. Number 4, Baskets. Zach if I say his name wrong, I apologize. Zach Galifianakis. I'm saying it probably wrong, but the show is called Baskets, and he's in it. And I want to say he probably created it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But it's kind of dark, quirky, and it's one of the newer series that I really got into. Number 5, Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls, I love. It's about a mom and daughter. And it's one of those it's one of those TV series that I watched. Of course, all of these I watched from beginning to end. But I definitely binge watched it because I caught on to it way later than most people. And I'm going to rewatch it soon. I love it. Number 6, Downton Abbey. Downton Abbey is like a period TV series. It's based, I want to say, in the 1800s. And I'm not usually into period series or movies, but I was into this. Downton Abbey is a contrast between the people who work at this rich estate called Downton Abbey. And so it's like the workers' lives plus the rich people. And I've never seen a show mix that, like the class. Like you see people who are struggling, they work there, but their lives are just as meaningful and important as the rich people. And their lives are very interesting to follow. And that's what I really liked about it. It's full of a lot of heart. And then number 7, The Office, classic. Number 8, classic, Parks and Recreation. Very quirky characters, very likable. Same thing with The Office. Number 9, Curb Your Enthusiasm by Larry David. I love Larry David. I feel like I'm a lot like Larry David. I really connect with him. I'm very neurotic. Love Curb Your Enthusiasm. And of course, the OG to Curb Your Enthusiasm is Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. I want to say that one that didn't make the list, but I just have to say it because my brain is telling me to, is Sex and the City. That one didn't make the cut, but I love that one too. Okay. I got 3 more lists for you guys. Let me try it. Hopefully this is not too much rambling. Okay. Kids movies. I'm going to go quicker on these because, kids. Number 1, Moana. Disney animation. Number 2, My Neighbor Totoro. Love all of his films. Hayao Miyazaki. Saying that correct? Number 3, and those are all animated. A Cat in Paris. Animated film. You could say it's for kids or for adults. Very good. Number 4, Hugo. Based on a book. Very good book. And it's directed by Martin Scorsese. Eye candy. It's just... Number 5, Song of the Sea. So Hugo is the only one so far that's not animated. Number 5, Song of the Sea. Highly recommend animated film. Number 6, Despicable Me. Classic. 7, Wreck-It Ralph. 8, Shrek. 9, The Lion King. And 10, The Wizard of Oz. So those are my top 3. Those are my 3 lists for TV and movies. Okay. Now music, and then did I forget books? Music and books, and then I'll get y'all here. Okay, so music. Number 1, Metric. Metric is my favorite band right now. I love Emily Haynes, the lead singer, and I love Metric. Number 2, Philip Glass. Number 3, Eminem. Number 4, Tool. Number 5, Pink Floyd. Number 6, Outkast. Number 7, Modest Mouse. Number 8, Arcade Fire. Number 9, Dwight Yoakam, Country. And then number 10, I wrote a bunch, but I'm just going to narrow it down to Portishead. And yeah, that's my top 10 current music. And I'm going to top that off by saying my top 10 songs. Number 1, Rhyme or Reason by Eminem. I really relate to this song. I grew up without a father. So did he. And this song reflects on that. Number 2, Breathe Me by Sia. I want to say that this song is actually in 6 Feet Under. And I think that's how I found out about it. If I'm wrong, I apologize. It's beautiful. Number 3, Pearl Jam, Just Breathe. Willie Nelson also did a cover of it, and it's really good too. Number 4, UGK, One Day. One day you're here, one day you're gone. And I love that song. It's a rap song. Number 5, Alice in Chains, Nutshell. The emotion in the song Nutshell gets me every time. It gives me this like instant burst of like melancholy. I love it. Number 6, Tom Petty, Walls. So this song is very meaningful to me because I'm an introvert and I put up walls around people, you know, and that's to me what this song is about. It's about he's writing about this girl, maybe his girlfriend, and she pretty much puts up walls between herself and him and other people. And it's all about that, and I love it. Number 8, Arcade Fire, The Suburbs. Arcade Fire, this song I would have loved to hear when I was growing up. It reminds me of, well, it's called The Suburbs, of course. And it's just like, kind of like a coming of age song. And I love Arcade Fire. Number 8, Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Classic, beautiful. Number 9, of course, Metric, Help I'm Alive. So Metric, Help I'm Alive, it's so good. All of her song, I could fill a whole list of my favorite songs just from Metric. So Help I'm Alive is just one of the many great songs that they have. And number 10, Tool, Enema. Aenema. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to pronounce that wrong, but Enema, it's a very dark song, but I really like it. It kind of connects me with like my anger, and I've been loving Tool since they came out, and it's just a classic for me. And now I'm going to finish my list with books. I wrote bookstores on here, but I'm not going to go over that because I think bookstores is like not that interesting of a list maybe because everybody knows, you know, most of the places to buy books, but sorry. Okay. Books. Number 1, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Classic. She's an orphan. My mom was adopted. I grew up without a father. I really connect with books about orphans. Number 2, White Oleander by Janet Fitch. Yes, Fitch, yes. Okay, same thing. I'm not going to say too much about this book because I don't want to give it away. Beautiful book, beautiful movie. Highly recommend it. It's about a girl named Astrid. And I don't want to say too much because I'll give it away, but it's just beautifully written. Number 3, The Goldfinch. The Goldfinch is by Donna Tartt. And The Goldfinch is one of the longest books I ever read. Perfectly written. It almost reads like a movie. Her attention to detail I've never seen on a book page in my life. I am obsessed with Donna Tartt. I'm reading The Secret History right now. The Goldfinch, phenomenal. It's about a boy. Well, it's a coming of age story. It's about a boy, and it's like his life from the time he's a young child all the way up to like young adulthood. And it's just like his trials and tribulations with his family, with life in general. Just beautiful. Number 4, The Language of Flowers. and I feel like I'm going to ruin. Let me grab it. So I had to grab this one because I know I'm gonna mess up her last name. This is The Language of Flowers, and this is by Vanessa. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I highly recommend this book. Also, you can see a theme here. It's also about an orphan. And what's interesting about this book about an orphan is it's kind of her life after she is in foster care. But it goes back and forth, but it weaves the story of her childhood in foster care and then her adult life. And it is one of the most beautiful, like gut-wrenching, not gut-wrenching like in a, I don't know how to explain. Like it's just it's beautiful. I was immersed in it. All of these books, of course, I was immersed in. Love it. Number 5, a classic, Anne of Green Gables. Number 6 is a nonfiction book. It's called Goodbye Things. It's about minimalism, and it changed my life. I don't call myself a minimalist anymore because I'm not really, but I'm drawn to minimalism, and it's the best minimalism book I ever read. Goodbye Things. Number 7, First We Make the Beast Beautiful by Sarah Wilson. I'm actually rereading that book right now. It's about anxiety, and it's the just best book I've ever read about anxiety, and I will do a future video on that book, and probably a lot of these. Number 8, The Teledespero by Kate DiCamillo. So, the last 3 are actually children's books, but I, as an adult, still enjoy reading children's literature, especially good children's literature. So, I love all of Kate DiCamillo, and The Teledespero is phenomenal. It's about a mouse, and it's beautifully written. Number 9, Beyond the Bright Sea. Beautiful story about a little girl who is like learning about her past. So Beyond the Bright Sea is by Lauren Woke. I just wanted to grab it real quick in case sometimes I don't pronounce words clearly, so I wanted to show you guys. So it's a beautiful story about a little girl, 12-year-old girl who is kind of like trying to figure out where she came from. She's also an orphan. And then number 10 is Pax, P-A-X, by Fox, by Sarah Pennypacker. So Sarah Pennypacker, Lauren Woke, and Kate DiCamillo are my 3 favorite children's authors, and those are my top 10 books. I'm going to quit rambling, and I really appreciate you guys watching, especially if you made it to the end. It means that you like me. No, I'm joking. Thank you. It means that you found this video interesting, and so I plan to make more, and I hope you're going to be there. Thanks so much. Bye.